Welcome to DIY Creations, your very own go-to channel for all things do-it-yourself. Today, we are excited to spark your imagination with a whimsical project, creating fairy houses. These enchanting little homes are perfect for adding a touch of magic to your garden or indoor spaces. So, here are some creative ideas for fairy houses you can easily make at home. The first one is twig and bark fairy house. Gather twigs, bark, and leaves from your backyard to create a rustic fairy house. Start with a sturdy base, like a piece of wood or a flat stone. Use glue to attach twigs vertically to form the walls, leaving space for a door and windows. Use pieces of bark for the roof, overlapping them like shingles. Decorate with small leaves and moss to give it a natural forest like appearance. Next is moss covered pot fairy house. Transform an old flower pot into a cozy fairy board. Turn the pot upside down and glue sheets of moss to cover the entire surface. Create a door and windows from small pieces of wood or cardboard and attach them to the pot. Add tiny pebbles or shells to make a pathway leading to the door. You can even place small battery operated fairy lights inside for a magical glow at night. Next is recycled bottle fairy house. Repurpose a plastic bottle to craft a unique fairy house. Cut the bottle to your desired height and shape the opening to resemble a door. Cover the bottle with layers of papier mâché or clay, molding it to create texture. Once dry, paint it with bright colors and add details like windows and flowers. Use small stones or buttons to create a path leading up to the door. Next is seashell fairy house. For a beach theme fairy house, collect various seashells of different shapes and sizes. Use a small box or container as the base structure. Glue the seashells onto the base, covering it completely. Create windows and doors using flat shells or small pieces of driftwood. Add sand, tiny beach chair, and miniature umbrellas around the house to complete the seaside look. And the next is stone cottage fairy house. Use small stones and pebbles to build the walls of your fairy house on a flat base. Glue them together, leaving spaces for a door and windows. Use pieces of slate or flat stones for the roof. Add moss and tiny plants for a rustic touch. Decorate with miniature garden tools and a tiny bench made from twigs. And the next is pine cone fairy house. Use a large pine cone as the main structure. Add small stones or pieces of bark for the door and windows. Decorate with moss, leaves, and tiny flowers. Place it in your garden for a natural fairy hideaway. You can also add a tiny ladder made from twigs for the fairies to climb. And next is tin can fairy house. Repurpose an old tin can by cleaning it and cutting out a door. Paint the can with bright colors and add details like windows, flowers, and some other details. Use a piece of bark or wood for the roof. Add pebbles or small stones for a pathway. Decorate with miniature garden accessories like tiny wheelbarrows or bird baths. And next is clay pot fairy house. Take small clay pots to create a tower-like fairy house. Glue them together and paint with bright, cheerful colors. Use moss, small stones, and tiny decorations to add charm. Create a miniature garden around the base with small plants and flowers. Add tiny fairy figurines and furniture to complete the scene. These various fairy houses projects are not only fun and creative but also a great way to repurpose materials and add a touch of enchantment to your surroundings. whether you place them in your garden or as a centerpiece indoors. These miniature homes will surely captivate everyone's imagination. Enjoy crafting these magical fairy houses and let your creativity run wild. Happy crafting, and don't forget to subscribe DIY Creations.